MashaAllah, we're back again, brother. MashaAllah, Zakir. How are you, bro? You okay?
Alhamdulillah, bro.
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. It's been a while now, hasn't
It has been a while, yeah, man.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Everything's good, yeah?
Alhamdulillah, bro.
Alhamdulillah. Family good, yeah?
Alhamdulillah, bro.
That's good. Yeah, I wanted to touch a topic about phases, you experience in life, phases. So, and I was really interested in getting your input on that.
Yeah.
You got some advice?
Yeah, I think we all have phases in life. It's important to understand, especially in Western culture. I think we go through different phases, that will be conversely different to a phase that you might go through if you were growing up back home, for example. Me, obviously, my parents are from Bangladesh. I was born here, but I'd imagine that the experiences that I have or would have had in Bangladesh, if I was to grow up and be born and raised there, would be much different, and the phases that I would have gone through there would be much different to here. But if we just focus on maybe the topic of how it is to grow up in maybe a Western culture, and specifically how it is to grow up in Britain, you will go through different phases. And I think it's more important, us now being adults, having our own children, that maybe we unpick that a little bit, because we're going to have a much more stronger role, a more pivotal role in raising our children as well, and to guide them through these phases. So I think there's a couple of different phases, but naturally when you're in primary school, for example, that you're not really going through much of a phase. You're very young, you're very naive, oblivious to all the outside influences. You kind of go through, quite swimmingly, to be honest with you, in primary. There's nothing really to worry about. But I think the first phase really starts when you're at secondary, because that's when you're really trying to find yourself. What group am I going to hang around with? Who do I want to be at secondary school? You go against your own nature. Me, for example, when I was transitioning from primary to secondary, in primary school, I was recognized as a completely different child to maybe someone who was in secondary. In primary, I was very academic. I was very interested in sciences and, being top of the class, getting my homework done on time. Whereas in secondary, that very quickly changed, after, year 7, year 8, year 9. Because you're trying to find yourself and you're trying to fit in with the crowd. And that's one of the phases, I think one of the most important phases, and at that point you probably need somebody like a parent to be really involved. Not saying that I didn't have my parents involved and we didn't have our parents involved, but they were probably more oblivious to that because they were carrying culture and carrying upbringing from where they were, being first, second generation. They may have not been schooled through the UK system, so they may have not been as aware. But yeah, I think the first phase that you're going to go through when you go into the likes of secondary school is going to be that, who do I want to be? Who do I want to be seen as? What kind of personality do I want to project? A lot of this is going to be fabrication to a degree as well, because in secondary, when you're going to secondary and going through the early years, you're trying to fit in. You're trying to find your crowd. You're trying to be either the cool guy or you're trying to be the smart person or whoever. But everyone is trying to find their feet when they go to secondary.
So let me just interject there. So how do you navigate?
Navigating, to be honest with you, I think that when you go to secondary, you should have a foundation. I think our parents should have done a good enough job in instilling some of those foundations. Islam for me was big. It played a very key role, and it helped me ground me as much as I think it did. It always gave me a foundation to go back to. It provided me with the building blocks. Other people will come from different walks of life and they might look at, let's say a Jew or somebody who follows Judaism or Christianity. Not saying that they wouldn't have those kind of values, but I think religion plays a really big role in bringing you foundation and also giving you grounding as well. And I think that needs to be instilled within children at a young age. Alhamdulillah for us, we were fortunate to have that. Some wouldn't have. So it's much more easier to kind of deviate away from those things if you don't have a really strong building block, strong foundation to begin with. So I think guidance is key, and parents' influence is going to be key at those early years, at that pivotal time, especially when you're transitioning, because you're not really sure what you are. When you're going from primary to secondary, you're not really sure, am I still a child? Am I a little bit of a young adult? What am I? So you're trying to fit in, and you're finding new experiences and meeting new people, and there's so many different types of personalities that you're now interacting with. It's no longer just about more of a binary question where, are you top class or, are you in the top of the class or you're not? You're suddenly in year groups with 30, 40 children in each year group, and you might have 3-year forms. So there's like 60 odd kids that you're up against, or in some cases really big schools you might have 80 kids in that same year group. So it's very difficult. I think you need guidance. You need your parents to play a role.
What about if the absence of parents, or the parents are there but they're not really understanding?
Yeah.
So how would they navigate?
How do they navigate? They need to look at people with the experience, right? When you're young and you're of that age, you kind of think you know it all. You kind of think you want to know it all, right? But I think you have to check your egos at the door. And when you're young, it's really, really difficult to do that, because you think you know it all, by that age, but you really don't. You have to be open. You have to be open to learning the lessons of your adults, your seniors, your elders. Because what we forget, and I was guilty of it as well, I'm sure you were, is you kind of close yourself off to that because you want to live those experiences. You want to go through it the hard way, but they might be telling you, but it's just not getting through. It's not resonating. So I think as a young adult, as somebody who's maybe at that phase in life, it's important to seek out that knowledge. Look for people that have lived that experience and take their warnings and their lessons and actually learn from them and listen to them. Study them, because you don't want to go through all these different phases without having a steer of actually what's right and wrong, and maybe how I should be living my life, and some of the decisions, because a lot of the times those experiences will be very similar to people who have already lived that experience, and they will have good answers for you to give you the I suppose the guidance and the rules in terms of how you should navigate those type of decisions that you might need to make when you're at that age. So seek knowledge, take knowledge, and act on them as well. Don't just let it go in one ear and come out the other. Actually try to study those lessons learned.
What about if you don't understand what they say, in the sense that you hear them but you don't comprehend what they say? How do you do that?
And it's going to be difficult to comprehend because some of the things that you might have not encountered yet. But I think again it's down to you as an individual. It's up to you. It's your life. You're going to have to make the decision and encourage yourself to try to learn. Every day is going to be a lesson learned. You're going to go through it. You might not understand it straight away, and that's okay. You're young, but constantly seek knowledge. Constantly try to understand what you don't understand.
And also, who's giving you the information? Who's giving you the advice?
And who's giving you the advice, exactly. So, you should look for good role models, because if you're going with somebody who has made bad decisions, maybe they're not in a good spot, or that they're making wrong decisions and maybe they're getting ahead in life through wrong decisions. You yourself would know from right from wrong. From an early age, right from wrong. So it's important, that you surround yourself with people that you want to, that you aspire to, and in the right way. Yeah, it shouldn't just be, and don't think of it as narrow-minded in terms of saying, I just want to make money, or I just want to be around girls, or I want to be popular, or stuff like that. You can't think so single-mindedly and so narrowly. You have to look around you and look at the people that are truly succeeding in life, maybe truly happy, or have better advice for you, as opposed to going with someone that might offer you the quickest resolution to something that you might be encountering at that time. So don't look for the easiest path. If the other path is long, understand why is it difficult, why is it long, and see whether or not you're better off. But ultimately, it's going to be down to you. And that comes back to the topic again. It's just a phase you're going through. It's a phase. It's not going to last. These phases never last. At the time when you're going through them, you think this is it. You're living in the present. She's the one, or he's the one. He's the one. She's the one. This is the job. Life,
whatever.
My life is surrounded. This is the job that I'm doing. This is everything now. But wallahi, bro, all of these things, they're all phases. And now I look back, I've lived, close to 40 odd years. So have you. You look back and you look at these years and you think, they all change. And everyone tells you as you're going through them, it's only temporary. This time will pass. Any kind of pain, hurt, any kind of ups and downs that you had, everyone tells you this, that you will get through it. Time will heal. It was just a moment. And you know what? It's so true. Those things, they never last. Because there's other lives to live and other things that you need to do. So understand that the phases that you're going through are just that. They are a phase. And it will be different. Given enough time, there'll be different things. You'll be doing different things afterwards. You'll be thinking about different things. You'll be surrounding yourself with different people. The people that you surround yourself when you're early or you're in secondary may not be around, when you're older.
Subhanallah.
You know, so the people are also temporary as well. So it's important that the people that you do try to keep, and if you keep them at an early age, those are the people that you can see yourself growing with as well. You know, friends, family members, loved ones. You know, keep the ones that you want close to you, and they're on the same wavelength as you as well. Because if they're going against the grain and they're doing something else that you might not necessarily agree with, don't waste your time. The one thing you have when you're younger is time. As you grow older, you yearn for that time. You want that time back, but you can't